Leave it. No, leave it.
Audrey helps actors.
Leave it.
Because they don't know anything.
Yeah, we're going to skip the things, aren't we? Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and today we have...
Falk Hentschel again.
We are skipping the theme song because I don't feel it's tonally appropriate. Here we are going to talk about COVID-19, and then we're mostly going to get into your Market Research March, the sorts of things that you were discussing that I gave you assignments to do for Market Research March, and how to apply that for April, and what you can be doing in April, and how to apply that for Self-Tape May. We are still definitely going ahead with Self-Tape May. I want you to know we are going to do some kind of unemployment episode. Everyone is confused. I just want you to know everyone's confused. So I'm working really hard to get people that are vetted, that I feel know what they're talking about. I'm listening to a lot of resources. I'm having other people listen to resources, see if we can get some actual information that might be helpful to people. The literal website is changing for California, like moment to moment. It's changing. The questions are changing. So I'm just trying to get some consensus before I send a podcast out, because I want the information to be as accurate as possible, which I recognize is an outrageous accomplishment, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, so let's talk about COVID-19. Falk, hi.
Hi. COVID-19, man. I mean, I feel like what you just said about information on unemployment and all that goes for life. We don't know. It changes every minute, every day. But I just got used to it, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think it's also easier for actors because we're what? Not knowing what moment's going to happen next? That's called life.
Financial instability.
Yeah. Just another day is an actor's life. So I also wanted to mention that experts are saying that the emotional experience of COVID-19 on a global scale is equal and akin to World War II. So I just try to remind myself of that. Anytime I'm in a state, I just try to remember I'm in World War II mode, and then I'm a little bit nicer to myself. I'm a little bit nicer to my husband. I'm just a little bit more compassionate and empathetic in general.
Mm-hmm. She's been very nice.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think be good to yourself, you guys. I mean, that's all I'm trying to do every day. I wake up and I'm how can I make myself feel at least okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's very easy right now to just spiral. I look at the news a little bit too long and it's over.
Great, I said great. Okay. So we're going to talk about trauma response. So for those of you who don't know what trauma response is, I think that it's really important for people. You can Google it. I will post it on my Instagram page, Audrey Helps Actors. There's all kinds of images and graphs, but I've always been kind of a big fan of trauma response. It makes me feel better about myself. I have a graph that I found for trauma response. Are you ready? Trauma response is going on with normal life part of self, and then there's the normal life part of self, and then there's the traumatized child self or selves. When the traumatized child self gets triggered, they go into the following categories: fight, vigilance, angry, judgmental, mistrustful, self-destructive, controlling, suicidal, needs to control. So vigilance is one of my big things, need to control. Audrey goes hypervigilant, real story. Flight, escape is a distancer, a runner, ambivalent, cannot commit, addictive, or eating disordered. So that's somebody who's flight, right? Freeze. Freeze, fear, is frozen, terrified, wary, phobic of being seen, reports panic attacks. I've had panic attacks, you guys. Submit, shame. This is somebody who goes into depressed, ashamed, filled with self-hatred, passive, good girl, caretaker, self-sacrificing. I mean, what does a girl who creates a podcast called Audrey Helps Actors really I mean, let's be real.
I connect to a lot of that too.
Connect to a lot of that, right? Then attach, cry for help. Looks for connection, fearful of abandonment and rejection, innocent, wants someone to depend on. Those might all sound very familiar to you. And so I just want everyone to know we are collectively, globally, in a lot of trauma response.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And let's be lovely and nice to each other. Okay? Yeah?
Yeah. I want to say something positive about COVID-19. I like the break that we're getting. That part of it I'm trying to enjoy now and sort of go, have a little restart. Like I feel like a lot of people are very used to the hustle and to give their best all day long and all week long and all month long, all year long. And it's nice to be forced to just kind of take it easier and connect to yourself and connect to what do I actually want right now to make myself feel good. We don't usually have that luxury to ask those questions.
I also want to add that I think it's perfectly normal right now for all of us to want to do nothing. So we're going to be talking a lot today about things that you can be doing, stuff to be spending your time on that are acting related. But when you are in trauma response, it's really important that you just take care of yourself. And what we call my favorite new thing, it's a book that I don't remember the name of, where they say protect the asset. And so like you are the asset. Protect the asset, take care of yourself. Don't feel bad if you don't feel like doing a monologue challenge. It's okay. Make sure that you check in on people if you have the energy. A lot of people are, being quarantined by themselves alone. A lot of those people also suffer from anxiety and depression. And it's a good time for us to really be checking in on them. See if you can watch a movie with them over FaceTime. Netflix has like movie share or something like that where you can watch a movie together with somebody virtually. All these things are really great things to do. So we're going to give you some like acting things to think about for April to prepare yourself for Self-Tape May. But also, I just really want to reiterate, it's okay to do nothing.
I second that, and then also going to add, if you can, I gave a shout out on my live chat, support your local community. Right now, I feel like everybody can actually do something and impact your neighbors, your friends, your community by getting the coffee from the place that is still open, that is doing curbside pickup, supporting the restaurant that might go under, support, advertise for friends on your Instagram. Just make it so that we all get through this and come together.
I think that's really great. I love the idea of supporting your own community. I said this in the last episode, and I want to say this again. If you are a person who is in financial health, I love the donating to the Actors Fund. I think that's great. If you want to do that, that's great. To me, a more direct way to be of service to people in our community is to actually hire them. So we're going to give you some tips and tricks of things to be looking at to create and develop your audition technique. That's what today's episode is really going to be about. And there are plenty of acting coaches out there who are right now, because there's no auditions, they're out of work. If you are a person who has means to go ahead and hire an acting coach, please do that. It's it's successful virtually. A lot of people do it virtually. A lot of the top coaches virtually teach and have always for actors who are out of town. Also, if you are a person who is maybe a little more financially struggling and you have an acting coach that normally you would work with and you feel like right now you can't because you can't afford them, maybe open up a discussion about possibly being able to negotiate a rate. They are likely having plenty of downtime, and they may be very willing to go ahead and work with you in your financial situation at this moment.
This makes me warm and fuzzy.
Oh, that's good.
It is. Thinking that is a possibility that we do support each other like that, I think is lovely.
Yeah, because, you can give $50 to the Actors Fund, and that will maybe get into some pool and get to somebody someday. Or you could call up a coach and say, can I hire you for $50 to help me with something?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So then we're going to talk about Market Research March and what to do with that. So just so you know, we had a lot of podcasts that were already recorded and edited and scheduled to be released, but they don't feel appropriate at this moment. And so we are not releasing them at this time. We're going to hold them for another date and time. So just know more episodes coming. I'm trying really hard to stay up with you guys on Instagram. Like you, I'm going through my own trauma and I am tired and I'm trying, you guys. So I really appreciate your support, your encouragement, your love. It really means a lot to me. I want you to know all your messages on Instagram, all of your iTunes reviews. They really are such a blessing to me in this moment as I'm having a lot of my own emotions during this time. So Market Research March is something that we did as a movement to get to know your showrunners. You can Google Hollywood Reporter Top 50 Showrunners. Okay, so the top 50 showrunners, the Hollywood Reporter have all these showrunners, and I wanted you to really research which ones were for your market. Now, on my Instagram page, there is a section where I've spoken directly to the camera, and it's like me in a car with my glasses on. And if you swipe left, we've organized those showrunners by particular markets. As we have discussed, you're more likely to be booked for a job in your own market than you are to be flown out of your market and hired for a job out of your market. Now, some of you have casting, like Falk, where you're just always going to be flown. That's just like what your life is, and that's how it is. But it's important for you to know your showrunners the same way that you were taught your playwrights. If you were a dancer, the same way you were taught your choreographers. It's important for you to know your showrunners. Anything you want to say about that?
No, I'm just always impressed when I'm on your show and you give this advice. I'm like, God, I wish somebody would have told me this. It just kind of came to me after the years and years. But yeah, that's good. Yeah, learn your showrunners. Know your business. Know what you're doing and what you're setting yourself up for. Set yourself up for success.
That's great. So what I love to do is I love for April to be about setting yourself up for Self-Tape May with a very specific purpose. And that is, I'd love for you to take all the research you did from Market Research March and start transcribing scenes for characters that you think that you could be right for. So if you think Shonda Rhimes is a great showrunner for you, it doesn't, to me, right now, matter that the show is on the air and not on the air. So you can do something like How to Get Away with Murder. You can do Grey's Anatomy. You can do whatever you want from Shonda Rhimes. And then go ahead and transcribe it and then work on it. But work on it and start to see if in April you can develop an individual personalized audition technique. This is something that I've come to realize. It took me a long time to realize I needed one. And I've also discovered that everyone has their own way of preparing for an audition. But I think what's most important is that it's something that you recognize gets you results and is also flexible. You know, for one audition, you might have an inspiration to do something, and another audition, you might have an inspiration to do something else, so that there's flexibility in it, but that there is a system that you have that you're holding yourself accountable to that works for you. And how you'll know it works is because you're booking jobs.
I have a question for you that maybe listeners might have.
I have an answer.
And maybe I'm the only one.
Great.
But so are you saying, which if you're saying that, that's awesome. But are you saying that if you prepare for Shonda Rhimes, for example, and look up the characters that you are right for, that you're then kind of prepared for what she'll write next? Let's say that happens because that's sort of her tone or her style and you already know it. It's so brilliant, you guys.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Shonda Rhimes is not going anywhere, right? Hopefully, knock on wood, COVID-19 doesn't take her Shonda Rhimes, okay? Right. So Shonda's here to stay. She's getting so many deals. She's a massive showrunner. Being familiar with her and her tone is a really vital thing for you to do if you are an actor in the Los Angeles market, because she is one of the heavy hitter juggernaut showrunners in the Los Angeles market. So in creating, transcribing sides from shows that are shows she's a showrunner for, working on them, and then finding your way into them, understanding, is this really a tone that sits well on you? Does it come naturally to you? Is it harder for you?
That's so good, you guys. Do it.
Oh my God, I love it. And then what I hope you do is that you can check and see, like, does it work? You know, for some of you, an audition technique when a acting teacher might say to you, like, how do you prep for an auditions, right? Somebody's like, oh, I don't know. I read it over, I try to memorize my lines. Like maybe I read it over with my friend. And then the next question is like, is that successful for you? And if it's not successful for you, then you have an audition prep that is not successful for you. And it is worth it for you to trial and error, find an audition prep that is successful for you.
And also, maybe you'll find out, God forbid, that you're just not right for Shonda Rhimes. And then I think, you love watching that show, and that's okay, and you move to somebody else.
I love what you just said, because I have to say, in those years when I was practicing self-tapes, I practiced a lot of sides from Scandal. And I made the very real conclusion that I'm not right for Scandal. Because it was like really smart, talked really fast, and it was just like, everyone was like so serious and so cool. And I was like, it was just really hard for me to manage that.
It's like Aaron Sorkin for me. I don't think I would ever, unless it's like a mute character or really dumb or something like that. Yeah, totally.
The Aaron Sorkin mime. Yeah, that's your role.
Yeah.
But then there's other shows, for me, doing sides from Casual feels like just putting on a perfect dress, right? That was just tailor-made for me. And so you can start to see which genres maybe fit into you super easily and naturally. And that's just good information for you to begin to hone in on and have for yourself, because relationships, right?
No, I just sighed really deeply again, because it would have been so fun to do all this stuff when I was younger.
Yeah, well, we could still do it.
No, we can still do it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of casting directors are doing like self-tape challenges. They're doing, a lot of casting directors are doing casting director workshops. I think those are great things for you to be doing right now if that is something that you feel up for. If you don't feel that you can do it, if like that just sounds like a total drag, I think you take care of your asset. It's hard to manage the demons, because sometimes, attitude monitors talent. And if your attitude is a drag, then you don't put work into your talent. Production is the basis of morale, as my teacher Milton Castells used to say. And
repeat that.
Production is the basis of morale, which is a simple way of saying actors need to act. Mm-hmm. And so when actors aren't acting, they're depressed. Mm-hmm. So just check on that. If you don't feel like doing it, maybe give yourselves 20 minutes to try. And if at the end of 20 minutes you feel like you don't want to do it, then stop doing it. But in those 20 minutes, if you feel really revved up and like you want to keep going, then maybe put some work into it and see if you can develop an audition technique.
And maybe you just put yourself right out of a depression.
Maybe, right? Yeah. As acting, for many of us, is really, for me, acting has been a saving grace for me in so many of my darkest moments.
Yeah, it's a true medicine.
For real. Okay, so I recommend these casting director self-tape challenges. I recommend these casting director workshops. There's something else that I think could be really great for you to do at this time, which is to experiment with your looks. Now is the time for so many of you. Yes, and Falk can talk a lot about this. For so many of you, you are scared to grow your hair out. You're scared to grow out a beard. You're scared to grow out a mustache. You're scared to shave your head because you feel like, well, what about that audition? What about that audition I have or will have? Like, what about casting? Are they going to be mad at me? I'm going to have to take new headshots. Now is the time to dye your hair. Now is the time to grow a weird beard. For women, now is the time to experiment with looks. Like, go get some wigs. Order them on Amazon. They're like $30 each. Don't get the really cheap ones where you're just going to look like a clown. But like, try some different looks on. Experiment with some period looks. Like, really use this time to like find some looks for yourself that maybe you've never given yourself a chance to experiment with.
I'm going to order a wig today. A short hair wig, because I got long hair.
How?
And I'm going to make Audrey choose it for me.
Oh, I totally am. Well, will you talk about your hair journey?
Yeah, my hair journey is a consistent... my hair journey is one of consistent change. Mm-hmm. I had like very like average white guy hair. when I started out, and you know, it was sort of like
Justin
short to
Timberlake-ish.
mid-length, and you know, didn't do much. And then I decided I should shave my head because I was quite bulky and beefy, and people were scared of me. And then the shaved head really kind of like supported that and made that look complete. And then I've consistently just, I like change.
Yes.
Like I like to, once I did the shaved head guy 3 times, I was like, it's time to move on. And then I lose weight, and then I grow my hair out.
And most actors are that way.
Yeah.
We'd like to experiment with our look, and part of what's hard is feeling like we find something that works, and then
Yeah.
we have to stick to it.
And some people I know some colleagues, they have been sticking around with a mustache, so a rapey mustache for, 6 years because buku bucks, it just works. And then you're going to take as much as you can because you're the guy with that mustache. And so now I'm in the long hair phase. And I'll be really honest with you. I'm trying to get this long hair on screen because unless it's fantasy or Western, there ain't much casting. And so you got to be aware. Well, I guess do what Audrey says, have that new look, see how it works with those pages, see how it reads, and then give it a shot. Throw it out there like fishing, and if you get bites, cool. If not, move on.
Yeah, I mean, this brings up another great thing. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of this book, but I will post about it. And they talk also about trade-offs. And I think that's a really exciting thing to talk about, because when you're talking about trade-offs, it means if you're going to grow your hair out long as a male and grow a beard, the trade-off is you may get roles for Westerns, you may get roles for sci-fi fantasy fiction.
Yeah.
The trade-off is you may lose some of the clean-cut roles. You may get more hipster, you may get more artist, you may get more musician, you will lose corporate, you will lose, just average Joe guys. And so there's going to be some pluses and some minuses. And, if you're going to grow your hair out for something, like if you wanted to grow your hair out for Westerns and there were 0 Westerns casting, then that's maybe not a good calculated choice. But if you want to experiment, now is the time to do so. So I really encourage people, dye your hair black. If you wanted to go purple, go purple. Bleach your hair. I don't know, do crazy shit, because we're going to be in this in California. We are on lockdown until, it's been extended, I think, till May 15th. So when creating your own audition technique, Falk and I are going to talk about ours and how they have evolved. I want to really encourage everyone to understand that this is like a really personal experience. It's a personal, individualized audition preparation technique. Somebody who books on occasion is somebody who is just hoping that the luck sort of works out, where their general essence and acting and casting happens to line up with the right audition. And that's somebody who maybe books 1 or 2 jobs a year. Somebody who books consistently has a good understanding and relationship with casting, that they sort of know what to do with them, and B, they understand and have an audition technique that works for them. And these are those people that that like just book like 5-10 jobs a year, and you just like can't understand why it is they work so much. So I have a friend who this is how he preps. He like goes and he sits in his room for like 3 hours. He reads the sides to himself out loud, and sometimes in his head, and he sort of like thinks some thoughts. He comes out 3 hours later, doesn't really read it with anybody else, thinks about what outfit he's going to wear, and then he goes the next day and he books the job. That's his audition technique. That does not work for me, but it works for him. Do you want to talk at all about how your audition technique has changed over the last several years?
Sure, yeah, it keeps changing. And it's really, for me, it really varies on the project. I just try to prepare the best for the current material, meaning if I get a show where it's military and I have one of those monologues before we go in and slash the aliens or whatever, and I'm telling my troops, what's up, it's important that I just know that text like perfectly well, that I speak clearly, that I give the information, and I act once. So my prep is going to be learn it by heart, learn it by heart, learn it by heart. And I kind of stay away from trying to figure out my emotions because it's just not necessary.
Yes.
And then there are others where I go, oh, wow, this is all emotional. I just got to sit with this for like a day if I have the luxury of time, obviously. And I'm going to like investigate how that would feel. And others are some makeup.
Yes.
And I always gauge it by like how much I'm inspired and excited as to how I want to prep for it.
So I've known you for a really long time, and I've watched your audition technique mold and shape, and some things that you've done to prepare for certain auditions that has been really interesting to watch you get ready. So I personally type my sides up when I get them. I take them from whatever pages they give me and I retype them just because I like to have it sort of, I don't want that many pages. Like, as I cut shit out and shit doesn't make sense, and then like, you know, it'll have a line and then it has all the stage directions, then another line, and then I'll think that then there's this natural gap between the two lines that I'm supposed to say, and it's not. And so I personally just retype them all up. And I actually got that from you. Because
yes. Yeah, I was just going to add, I still do that.
Yes.
And I now, if I have the time again, I've learned that it sticks to me the most. I type them up. And then I memorize them, see if I can type them again. And I just keep typing the whole script. And it takes me, it's work of like 45 minutes of typing. But after those 45 minutes, I never forget that text again.
That's interesting. Yeah, I type them up. And then instead of like doing what you're talking about, I use a checklist. And it's a combination of what I really recommend for people, Amy Linden's audition guideline, and Milton Casellas's acting technique checklist, and then some other things that I personally know that I need to remember. That Audrey, I like to act. And so sometimes I can act a lot. So I just like remind myself to just calm down. You know, that's on my checklist.
And I love those checklists.
Yeah.
You showed me Amy's?
I showed you Amy's,
I think it's really
and
great.
you really liked it.
Yeah.
It's a good, I think, foundation, but I really encourage people to create their own. I think everyone keeps looking for someone to solve their acting technique, and they're looking outside of themselves, when I think what we should be doing is collecting data and trying things out that work for us. And when something works for us, like, use it and adopt it for yourself. But don't just say, like, it's this person's way, and so I'm going to do that person's thing. It's like, oh, that person has this way. Let me see what of that works for me and try it out.
And create a toolbox. You know, I mean, for example, what I just said, to be quite honest, the typing it again and again, I only do that for the things where dialogue is extremely important. And that wasn't like the prep for the whole thing. But for example, if it was a scene, you know those scenes where you say a line and then you like got to do something important and then important things happen and like you're trying to do a little bit of blocking by who you look at, for example.
Right, yes, right.
Like that one, I won't type and drill.
Yes.
I block it again and again so that the lines
Are connected
to my movements and to what I'm actually doing. Walk forward into a close-up, pause, say that one word, you know, or whatever.
But to me, what I love about that for you and why I think that's so successful for you is because you're a dancer.
Yeah.
And I think connecting something to your body really lands with you. That might be really confusing to me. Now, I did like 10 years plus of dance, so I have some of that in me, which it helps me for continuity especially.
Sure.
But it doesn't free me the way that I feel like it grounds and frees you, if that makes sense, which is what's great. Like, you have that audition technique and I have my own. Also, Falk used to just like take a shower, sit at the piano before the audition and like play the piano for a while. Because of course Falk speaks multiple languages, is a chef, is like a fucking ninja, and also plays the piano because that's just the kind of person he is. So, you know, just sit with that for a second. And then he would sit and play the piano, and he would play it, you said, to just sort of like relax and get into some flow, and the music helped you to feel some flow.
Creativity gets started.
Get you into some sort of zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I just went.
Good.
No, I was just gonna say I went, horseback riding a lot, prepping for an audition that I knew was coming in. Hopefully 2 years down the line. So that was my longest prep. I'll tell you what it is. I didn't get it. So that can also happen with Lord of the Rings. And I grew my hair 2 years prior because I knew they bought it. I knew they were going to start casting 2 years down the line. And then I rode all year, broke my shoulder, healed it, kept riding, and I didn't book it.
But something else is coming down the line, too.
And now you got a skill.
That's what I want to say. Is like, you guys listen to that prep, right? Is he heard about the project that he wanted to be in. He knew it was going to take a while for it to go from development into production. And he prepped to be the person to be ready for that opportunity. I think that's so exciting. And that's what we're talking about when we're like, okay, look at Shonda's shows. Okay, work on them. Okay, are they right for you? Okay, what outfits do they wear on those shows? Do you have those clothes? If you're right for that show, prep before you get the audition, because if you wait till the audition comes, you're fucked because you haven't done the prep, and I promise you somebody else has, because this is the Olympics. Okay, another thing I want to talk about creating your own audition technique is experimenting with getting into character in physical form. A lot of people have a lot of luck, like finding the outfit, doing the hair, doing the makeup, things like that. One of the things I think that is really successful for people is even just getting some sort of makeup, so that way, even men, so that you look a little less healthy. Like all the male actors just look like so fucking healthy.
Don't be scared to look a little ugly.
Yeah, I mean, for real though. And then you guys want to go and play like these drug addicts, but you do like a ton of yoga and you drink so much water, and then it shows. And a little bit of the right makeup kit, just underneath the eyes, paling out the lips, it doesn't show up on camera as makeup. It just makes you look a little less healthy.
And go to, you guys in LA, go to any of these makeup stores and just be friendly, put in $20 and ask somebody to give you a little rundown on like what you want. You want age makeup? That's what I did. There's a store on Riverside, a really nice makeup store. Nigel's, yes. And somebody sat down and he aged me down. I watched it. I recorded what I needed to remember. And then there's people out there that will teach you this.
Love that. Great. So do you have any audition techniques that is it okay if I tell them the story of you booking that one show where you were the prisoner and you watched this movie for like 24 hours so that you wouldn't cry?
That was a shooting prep. That was for the shoot.
You did it for the audition too.
No, it happened. That was the thing. It happened. I was emotionally moved. It happened on the first audition, and I broke down crying, and I was like terrified. I didn't want to get the job.
Wait, let's just set it up. Okay, so he had an audition for
The Closer.
The Closer, and in The Closer, you play a
ex-drug addict who killed a man over $40 at an ATM and regrets it for life.
And did fantastic work, I have to say. And did the audition, they loved you, then you booked the job, and then you were super petrified that you wouldn't be able to do that.
Horrified.
For the actual shoot. You were horrified. Okay, so you took all of your German guilt.
That's so true.
Like your centuries, it's not centuries, decades long.
Almost.
Yeah, almost a century. Decades long, embedded in the blood of your DNA. German guilt.
Yeah,
and you watched what?
Schindler's List.
He watched Schindler's List, you guys, on loop for I think several times you watched the movie.
Yeah.
And you said...
And I mixed in, I flavored in a little Forrest Gump and Legends of the Fall, and I basically took my cry scenes that always trigger me.
And...
watched them, felt the tears just build up and come to me, and then I would just keep them there.
He forced himself not to cry, is what he did. So he watched all the saddest movies that move him the most emotionally and forced himself not to cry. And then you showed up on set.
I showed up on set and I remained in that zone of holding it right there. From the moment I got to the set, I sort of told people, hey, just give me a little bit of space. And then I was lucky enough that Michael M. Robbins said, hey, how about we'll get you to you first. We'll do your close-up first, which was the gift, that doesn't always happen. And then I let it roll I let the tears roll on the close-ups.
That is prep, you guys. That is prepping to win. I love it. I love that story. So this is just my way of saying spend April really experimenting with your audition technique and what works for you. And then if you want to test it out, try it out in some of these monologue challenges. Try it out in some of these workshops that they're doing. They're still doing workshops virtually, which I think is great. Any of these casting directors, they have downtime. They want to take in your work. They want to see who's out there, find some undiscovered talent, and might as well kill two birds with one stone and practice creating and honing your individualized audition technique while also being seen by casting. Right?
Yeah, it's great. Great
Anything
advice.
else you want to say about creating your own audition technique?
Always have fun.
Yeah, that's
really
great.
Always have fun, and make sure, this is something that I came to really late. I want to say only the last 3 years to really make it my priority to understand what is needed.
Right.
Because so many times you want to act and you give it tears in a certain place, and the scene doesn't need you to have any tears. You as the actor do, and it's lovely, but the lead is crying, so don't do that. Scan the material for that.
Yeah, that's really understanding story, and that's why I really encourage you to do the work now, to know these showrunners. For years I was doing all these cop shows, like in the interrogation room, being like so like weepy and emotional, and they were like, wow, Audrey, that's so great. And then I watched the person who did it, and the person who booked it was always like, fuck you, cop, you're a fucking asshole. And like, that's how they acted the whole time. Like, they didn't say those actual words, but that was their whole subtext. And I was so horrified, because who would ever talk that way to a cop? And then I realized, no, that's how they go, because it needs conflict. In order for there to be drama, there had to be conflict. So the person being brought in had to be like, I don't know, fuck you. You don't have a right to bring me in here. I don't care. Wait, what? He's dead? Oh, that changes the story. So there's like an arc in the scene, and then there's still conflict. That's not how I was doing it, because I was doing it like real, as I was taught in my conservatory training to like play this for real. And that is not the game that we were playing here.
Best advice I thought on Amy's list was check for your arc. Because I still fall victim to it, because sometimes it's not in the scene, when they don't have time to write something brilliant, or your character just doesn't have an arc. I sometimes do boring tapes because I couldn't find the arc.
I think this is really important because, what he's talking about is a beginning, a middle, and an end. Is there a turn in the scene? And often the writers don't write it. And that's okay. They're all great writers. Everyone's writing under the gun. We don't know what's happening back there. But it's your job to create it, even if it's not written there.
The only people that don't have to do that are the ones that got really lucky. They got a big job for an amazing writer that popped them, so they work with another amazing writer, and they just follow the art. They just follow a great script.
Yes, right.
And we don't always get that luxury. So I think if you want to work consistently and you want it to be in your hands, then to try to do that.
So what I'd like for everyone to do for April, if you have the ability and the interest to do so, is to use April to hone your audition technique, to find and create your own individual audition technique. And then I would like self-tape May to be market research specific. So if you are living in Los Angeles, I'd like for you to be doing your self-tapes for shows shooting in Los Angeles. If you are living in New York City, I'd love for you to be doing all of your self-tapes for shows that are shooting in New York City. If you are an actor who has a resume that is going to be flown around and about, then go ahead and do self-tapes for shows that are out and about, but make sure that they're shows that you feel are right for you. I think that is a way to deliberately practice self-tape May in a very productive way. It's one thing to be like, I'm just going to put myself on tape for 16 times in a month. what was valuable about that for last May was that everyone was going back. Everyone was at work, and it's like, do you have room in your life for that many auditions, which we should be so lucky to have. And most people found out, no, they did not. But now, you're probably going to have a lot of time. So instead of using self-tape May as this thing like, can I fit it into my life? Let's use it a little bit more deliberately in practicing shows that are shooting in your area and roles that you could book today, right now.
All right, I'm going to say this is my 3rd episode.
I think it's your 4th or something.
4th,
Yeah,
all right. I'll still say it. Okay. A general thing I'd like to share with you about what I love about Audrey's advice. Audrey and I don't agree on everything when it comes to acting. We do things differently.
Which I love.
Yes, I love that too. And what I love, therefore, about your advice is, guys, whether you book or not, there's a little bit of luck there. There's just life. There's all this stuff. But Audrey's advice, if I had it early and even now, you get to have a job called actor. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to work. You might not get paid for immediately, but you won't fall into depression. You can actually get up every morning and do your job, which to me has been the most depressing, hardest time in my life. Is just feeling like, let me work. I don't know what to do other than pay money for workshops and all, that obvious stuff. But all this stuff that you're getting, she's giving you the possibility to create your own job.
What I've also experienced, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What I've also experienced and heard, and I found to be true for myself, and I think you had the same experience, is like once I started treating it like a job, and it's interesting, like people told me like, actors wait for opportunities, and I never felt that I was doing that. I felt like I was in class. I was doing all the things that like I knew how to do. So I felt like I was a proactive actor, and I didn't feel like I was one of those people that was waiting for an opportunity. But now looking back, I wasn't working as properly as I could have been working. And I wasn't focused on booking the job. I wasn't focused on being a working actor. I was focused on being really great. Like just really great actress, everyone. Do I have a job? No. But focused on being really great. I didn't realize that there was maybe a way to treat it like a job that would then give me money.
And ultimately, I think that's what's going to satisfy you. The money will come, the career will come, but you've always been working, and isn't that what we want to do? We want to go to work.
I so agree. It's the work, right? You love the work. That's what gets me excited. And it helps keep my attitude up also, because in preparing for auditions and working on auditions that I don't have, I feel like a working actress in those gaps when I maybe don't have the opportunity to be a working actress.
And you're getting better.
And I'm getting better. It's like win city, you guys.
Winning.
It's like winning city here, you guys. Okay, any final words that you would like to say to this lovely and wonderful group of people?
Oh, just be nice to yourself, you guys, right now. Be very kind to yourself and your loved ones and your neighbors, and take care of yourselves.
Thank you so much for doing this episode.
Always a pleasure.
And for being so generous at this time. Okay.
I hope you all book so much more work when this is over.
Yeah, man. I am so ready. Okay. Unemployment episode 2 comes soon.
Don't forget your towel.